Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Breakdown. Coming up, the Yankee bats have gone cold. The New York Mets look red hot. NFL draft coming up in less than 2 weeks. Our predictions coming up. And the NBA playoffs next week. A little preview. Henry, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, we got our haircuts today. We're looking good,
sir.
Feeling good. As always, like, comment, subscribe. I was looking at our analytics the other day, and I noticed that about 70% of the people that watch the videos aren't subscribed. Just click the subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. It pushes our videos to more people, and it's free. Just click the subscribe button. We appreciate it.
I do want to give a little special thank you. Our Instagram has really done really well the last few weeks, and we're starting to grow more, and we have some really exciting content coming and a really cool interview we're going to do next week. So make sure you're on the lookout for that, and let's get into it.
Yes, sir.
So, we talked about this off camera about 30 minutes ago. I wish I could have saw the Yankees break their 3-game losing streak, but the game is on Amazon Prime, and even though I have a subscription, I cannot watch it because I'm not located in New York or New Jersey, which makes no sense because I pay for every freaking platform, or my dad pays for all of them, but I'm using them.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. It's not even like it's just my TV provider I'm paying for. We cut the cable, so I pay for Gotham Sports, and Gotham Sports, part of the package, is the Yes Network. This game is Prime exclusive, but it's put on by the Yes Network. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
It pisses me off. It's the New York Yankees. There's tons of fans outside the state. This isn't, the Colorado Rockies where no one else is watching the games outside that area. There's Yankee fans all over the world, really. And I have no idea why you can't watch the game unless you are in that area. It makes no sense.
And you pay for the subscription to Prime. I don't care where I am. I don't care if I'm in fucking Alaska. I should be able to watch the game.
It's so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. I'm pissed off because I want to watch my
ridiculous.
Yankees. There's already been 2 games this year. I think there's about 20 to 25, not even including the Apple TV ones. So I have to, a legal website, 40 games a year.
It buffers. Even if you're streaming it on the Gotham app, you get the alerts before. It's a pain in the ass. But then you have to stream it on Stream East or Crack Streams or whatever, and that could be up to like 5 minutes behind the game.
Yeah, it's the 7th. You'll be watching the 7th inning, and then Devin Williams will be blowing the game as it's happening. Well, we'll get more into that later. But and with the legal websites, I had a virus happen on mine, but I have a virus scan now.
Damn.
My dad had something, so I got rid of them. But they're risky using those.
They are.
Yeah.
You accidentally click the wrong button or something, then your computer's just shot.
Yeah, there's weird websites they take you to as well.
What'd you see on them?
I'm not going to say it on here, but inappropriate websites. Okay, so let's move on to the actual Yankees. So the Yanks just snapped their 3-game losing streak. The red hot bats have cooled off. The offense was just putrid the first 2 games of Detroit. And even the last game, they only had 4 runs. And look, there's 2 things I'm pissed off about. First, I want to talk about Carlos Rodon. This guy's just never going to be reliable.
Never, ever.
And,
he'll never be good.
We're paying him to be an ace. And that's never going to happen. I think Yankee fans accept that a long time ago. The least he could do is be a reliable number 2, and he's not that. He has a start or 2 where you're like, wow, this guy looks really good, gets a ton of strikeouts, gets really excited, and then he just lets up 4 runs in an inning. I feel like every start that he has a bad start, he just has one really bad inning or even an inning and a half, and you just can't get back.
And you can always see when it's about to come. He kind of wears his emotions on his sleeve, good or bad, and something goes wrong. If they have a close-up angle shot of him, you can see like the worry in his eyes, the sweat dripping down his face. It's like he's thinking in his head, like, oh crap, it's all about to go down. And then it does. Everything implodes on him.
I can't stand this guy. We paid the wrong guy. It's a bad contract. Look, Jack Flaherty, who I think is a much better pitcher than Carlos Rodon, has a 2-year, $35 million contract. Rodon is getting paid about $26 million AAV, and I think he's on a 5 or 6 year deal. And the Yankees just gave the money to the wrong guy. And I just can't stand the guy. He's never going to be reliable. And I'm going to be honest, this rotation sucks right now besides Max Fried. Max Fried had an awesome start today. Such a great pitcher. He really looks like the ace stepping up with Garrett Cole. But we have Carlos Rodon, who can't be protected because we're of injuries right now, so he has to be the number 2. Marcus Stroman, who wouldn't even been on the team if it wasn't for injuries. Will Warren, who actually, he hasn't been bad. Will Warren is a good enough number 5 pitcher. I'll call that.
Yes.
And Cookie Carrasco, who will never pitch again once the Yankees DFA him.
Yeah, I talked about it on my solo episode I did the other day that it might be a question whether they keep Cookie Carrasco and Will Warren. I feel like they would definitely keep Will Warren. And even that, we're sitting here saying, oh, well, Schmidt will be back, next week? And then we'll get Heel back sometime in July or something. But you can't even rely on that because those guys are, especially Clark Schmidt, is so injury prone. So he'll come back next week. What is it? Middle of May, he'll go back on the IL?
I hope not. Clark needs to come back because he really might be our number 2. Because I just don't trust Carlos Rodon. I have no faith in the guy. I can't say enough. This guy just sucks. I'm sorry. He's awful.
And he's not a true Yankee. He's growing out that beard. If you're going to grow out the beard, you got to at least be good.
Speaking of the guy, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about it now. This guy came to the Yankees, is our most talented closer since the great Mariano Rivera. You can argue maybe Prime Chapman. But anyways, guy's a great talent. Gets the beard rule rescinded.
Yeah, he might be the solo reason that rule got changed.
Because, you're like, you want to keep Devin Williams. And he has just been awful to start the year off. I think he has 4 outings. The first one, he gave up, like, a scary situation. It was opening day, and he finished it out. We're like, all right, whatever. Like, first game, finished it off. Second game, I think he pitched in a meaningless game against the Pirates.
Yes.
And then
I think it was a 10-4 game.
I was a little annoyed for the extra inning games that we lost, but I didn't fully put that in him just because of the extra inning rules. But then today, he couldn't even finish the game. It's a 4-0 game, and he had to come out. And I don't know. I noticed he just doesn't throw strikes sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And he relies on that changeup. What do they call it again?
It's his change.
The airbender.
Yeah,
the airbender. Because they say they've never seen a ball move like that. It just moves straight down out of the strike zone. Like, I don't know. I also was confused. So obviously he came in and had that rocky save against Milwaukee. The next game was the 9-home run game. And then the 12-3 game where he hadn't pitched in, 3 days at that point? They had an off day. There was an off day the next day. And you knew that this whole paternity thing was coming. Why didn't he? I don't get why he didn't pitch in that 12-3 game. It seems like with the whole paternity thing, he just hasn't been getting these reps, and that might be leading. You don't think so?
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
Like, I'm saying, he hasn't been getting reps.
I don't think he's been getting reps, and he just had a kid. Like, that could be a big mental challenge in the middle of a baseball season with a new team, especially it being the New York Yankees. Maybe we got to give that a little bit of time, but you knew that was coming up. I don't get why they didn't pitch him more to keep him hot. Now he seems like he's trying to get back in the swing of things a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this guy's got to pitch better. He just has to.
Has to, yeah.
This guy's supposed to be a star, a guy that you put in the game, and you can turn the game off and go to bed because it's a win. He has not been that. And I don't want to jump on him and just give up on it. I'm not going to give him Devin Williams. Like, this guy's an awesome player. But I'm frustrated. Yankees have had such closing problems from Clay Holmes to Aroldis Chapman. We just want a reliable closer. Maybe we have in Luke Weaver, who's our setup man right now. He was great last year, who's pitched really good so far this year. But Devin Williams should be that guy, and he needs to pitch better.
Were you surprised? Did you think coming out of last year that Weaver would have been the guy to close games?
Yeah, but I think we've talked about this. Where it's just going in the year as that your closer. Who knows? It could have been fluky.
Yeah,
I like the 8th man setup right now.
He's just
he's a great pitcher. I mean, I feel I swear anytime it's in the game, it's an 11 pitch inning. He's out of it.
He's just so cold blooded. You know that emoji where it's the cold face?
Yeah, that's
him. That's literally him.
As far as the bats have cooled off. Really
immensely.
No one really had a great series this series against Detroit besides Goldschmidt, who's just been hitting really well, honestly, and Ben Rice, who is I don't know what the Yankees are doing. Standing comes back with Ben Rice hitting this well, but these bats have cooled off. And me and you talked about this, where it kind of felt like the Yankees just didn't want to be there in Detroit. It was a cold weather series.
We turned it on the first game, and Aaron Judge was walking up to the plate with a ski mask covering his face.
And we know Jazz didn't want to be there, as he's posting on social media that this there shouldn't be baseball games played here, which that just frustrates me. I think Chisholm had a horrible series.
Yeah, he did. I watched his first at bat in the game yesterday, and his batting average just dropped to like 202.
Yep, that's Jazz.
After a red hot start.
Well, the bats have cooled off. I feel like no one was hitting.
And that also goes back to the point of overreacting in the beginning of the year when fans see the Yankees put up, 36 runs against the Brewers and automatically try to crown ourselves as World Series champions. You got to slow your roll a little bit on that. I mean, I know it's just baseball. You get hot and you get cold, but it just seemed like no effort. And
that's what bothers me. I felt like the team had no urgency the last two games.
And I feel like a lot of that goes back on Aaron Boone. Boone sometimes he
just defends these guys too much.
Yeah, he defends.
Why did you say Carlos Rodon pitched well? Come on.
Yes.
Why do you say that? This isn't Will Warren pitching. This is a guy getting paid $26 million. You do not need to stand up for him and say he pitched well when you get 5 earned runs.
I forget what exactly his stat line was, but I remember I was watching Pinstripe Territory yesterday, and the guy Derek who does it went off on John Flaherty, Michael K's partner in the booth. Is that his name, right?
Yes.
And because he said that John Flaherty said something of the sorts of, "Oh, Rodon had one bad inning or threw like a couple bad pitches."
You know what one bad inning did to the Yankees last year? Cost them the World Series. So that's just stupid. But okay, yeah, keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
And he just went off. I'm trying to find what.
I mean, Carlos Rodon right now is a 5.19 ERA. That is
horrible,
putrid. And he has 20 strikeouts and 9 walks. That's not a good. That's not a good ratio at all. I mean, 20 strikeouts through 3 games isn't horrible. With the walks, 3 a game, that's a lot, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
He has to be better, especially with the rotation being hurt. He knows he has to step up. And last year I think he was able to be protected because you had got such like Clark Schmidt, Luis Hill, even Marcus Stroman at the beginning there last year stepped up. Nestor Cortez and Rodon could fit comfortably in the 3 or 4 role. And the Yankees are relying on this guy to be their number 2.
And it's also one thing if you're relying heavily. Like, there's no situation where a pitcher giving up 6 runs and 5 earned runs is good. But it's one thing if you're like, well, we rely heavily on our offense, so this is going to happen sometimes. The amount of money you gave Rodon, and coming into this year where we're all saying, oh, well, this is more of a baseball team. It's not what we had last year where we just got these 2 monsters in the front of the lineup. We came into the season with our expectations of, oh, we got to rely on our pitching staff more, and especially our starters. And we thought coming this year that this starting rotation looked deep and looked good, and that is just not the case.
I think that might be my biggest concern about this team right now.
And there's a lot of concerns about this team right now too, though. I know
right-handed bat for sure.
Yeah, and maybe they just went cold in the cold weather games.
Okay, wait. This is just off the top of my head. As a 1 to 10 concern level, how concerned are you about starting pitching? 10 being like, oh my god, like you're not like.
I would say 7. I think it's a little bit too early.
I would say 7 too.
Okay, I think it's a little bit too early to be like 10, like implode everything and figure.
They have a great
out.
ace. Max Fried's awesome, and you can't replicate that.
But imagine how good that would be if Max Fried was our number 2.
Oh, I wish with Garrett Cole.
Or if he was our number 1 and Garrett Cole was our number 2. The thing about the Garrett Cole thing, and I watched a video about this today, that was just inevitable, and I thought that was kind of inevitable coming into this year. Just because of what we went through last year with him, and his numbers were down, his velocity was down, and all that. He had elbow inflammation. That was just inevitable. So it sucks, but
the bats I'm not really worried about. My biggest issue with the offense is I felt there was no urgency with the team, and you literally can tell from the second they got there they didn't want to be there. And I am rarely that type of guy that says it's your job, like you're getting paid millions, like suck it up. But come on. Like the Yankees were acting like spoiled little babies playing in those conditions in Detroit, with Jazz complaining. Clearly, the players didn't want to play there, and that bothered me.
It's ridiculous. Even
the body language spoke a lot about how they felt about being.
Even when you have Judge going up to the plate with a ski, he looked like a child almost, like with a ski mask on his face, and he looked cold. And when you show, it's like the same. I know baseball is a different sport than football, but it's the same mentality in football. When you look cold and you look uncomfortable, you already lost.
Well, you know what guy? You know who comes out in no sleeves and tries to be the tough guy? Carlos Rodon.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, and he just does it all for an act.
But honestly, I give him a little bit of respect for that. But I don't know. Is this a October preview? The Yankees, the bats.
I mean, you got to play in cold. You're right.
It gets cold, and
especially Jazz, because Jazz was bad in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's never going to be okay. It's very rare it's going to be as cold as it was in Detroit.
But every once in a while,
you're right. It could happen.
In New York City, it gets that cold.
Like, you got to play conditions baseball. I really didn't like how Jazz was complaining on social media there. And this is, I literally said last week the Yankees should extend Jazz Chisholm. I'm clearly a big fan of his. But that's what bothers me about Jazz. Sometimes he's got to just keep all of his thoughts off social media.
He's one of those guys when it's good and he's on social media, you love it. Like, we were talking about this last week. I was pulling up some of his tweets and talking about him. But when it's bad and he's going on social media, it's like, can this guy? Last year, after the Yankees won the CS, someone was interviewing Jazz, and Jazz was like, $700 million, give him $700 million. Like, that's one of those times where it's like, Jazz,
like, shut up. Like, don't say that. Yeah. But the Yankees play the Giants this weekend, which the Giants have actually looked really good. I believe they're first in the division.
They're first also.
I'm going to redo the projected rotation this week, so I'm a little worried. So we're playing against Robbie Ray, and Marcus Stroman's pitching game 1, 7 ERA right now. Will Warren, Jesus Christ, and then Rodon's the last game. I mean, these pitchers got to pitch better. The Giants are a very good team, and they have decent starters going. And this rotation's got to be better. I mean, Clark coming back would be massive, but Clark probably takes Cookie's spot. So, I mean, these other guys still have to step up. And
yeah.
You can't just rely on the offense to hit 8 runs a game.
Especially because we knew coming into this year that our offense wasn't going to be as good as last year.
Which, I mean, they've looked really good. I would like to see a little more consistency. I feel like it's been 10 runs or 2 runs. I would rather just see a straight 6 to 7. Of course, you don't want 1-run games, but I just feel like within the first inning, you can almost tell how the offense is going to be.
Yeah,
that's what annoys me.
After that Saturday game in Pittsburgh, when I went on by myself and did that little episode, I was talking about the back end of our lineup, how, we weren't getting much out of the front end of our lineup, but when your back end of the lineup can do something like that, and then you still have Goldschmidt and Judge up in the front end of the lineup like that, the pitchers can never get comfortable, and, that's amazing. But then when the bats just went so cold right after that game.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed this, but anytime it's a close game, every team just going lefty heavy in us later in the game, and we just don't have the right-handed bats because even Jason Dominguez and Cabrera, switch hitters, they're way worse from the right side, and it's just lefties. This team desperately needs a right-handed bat, and they needed one even when Giancarlo was healthy. They have no bench right-handed bat. Oswald Peraza is probably the only one. Who I would even it's not a reliable bench bat, who's actually played decent.
He has played decent. I remember saying that in December, it looks like I think we're going to need a right-handed bat. I forget who I was talking to. It might have been my dad or one of my friends. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, look at who we have.
We have no right-handed bat. I mean, we just get lefty, and even last year we didn't hit lefties well. And
also, Boone talking about it, he's just so nonchalant about it. The Talking Yanks guys were asking him about the 3 lefty catchers, if you want to rope Ben Rice into that. And Boone was like, no one bats an eye when you have 2 right-handed catchers, but we have 2 left-handed catchers. Because it's just so rare to have 2 left-handed catchers. Yeah. And J.C. Escara, great story and everything. But you're telling me that you can't just replace him with a right-hander?
Just do a trade like
yeah, with a right-handed catcher.
I mean, these were a little frustrating games. I'm glad they got the win today. Devin Williams got to pick it up because Yankee fans are going to start to turn on him if he keeps playing this bad. Let's talk about the other New York team. Or you want to get in voicemail first?
Yeah, let's do a voicemail. And then
we talk about the red-hot Mets, who actually did lose today against the Marlins. But I believe they won 6 of their last 7 before that.
Hey, boys, love the show. No Major League Baseball team has ever made the postseason after starting 0-7. The Atlanta Braves have just started their season that way. Is their season over, or will they be the first to do it?
Thank you for the call. I believe they actually, this was before, I believe they actually started 0-8 or 0-9.
I don't remember what they started off exactly. I thought they ended up beating the Marlins right away.
I'm going to look this up.
But anyways, baseball's I'm actually very surprised that that's like a record because baseball's such a long season where like you start off 0-7, you still have 155 games left in the year. Like it's not like other sports. Like I mean, like they're 2-8 right now, which is really bad. But the Braves, I mean, they have a good roster. They have Ronald Acuna Jr. coming back. What's gonna hurt them is they play in the National League East, which is a very tough division. I can't say I'm confident they're going to make the playoffs, but, like, I mean, earlier this year I said the Braves were the second best team. I think I luckily said this off camera, so I didn't get flamed. But I could still see them make the playoffs. Like, the Braves are a really good team. It seems like they always find a way. And this sounds like a boring answer, but, like, I can't confidently say they're going to make it, but it would not shock me.
Yeah, they did start 0-7 their first 4 games against the Padres, and then first 3 games against the Dodgers.
It's not like they lost the bombs, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a tough schedule to open up to, and it's not like 8-game losing streaks just don't happen in baseball. Yeah, you don't want to see that happen, but let's say they got out to a hot start and then this happened in the middle of July. Would we be saying, "Oh my God, the Braves season is done"? You know,
But it never happened before, surprising to me.
That surprises me too.
It's just supposed to be like putrid teams that start off 0-7.
Yeah, probably.
I'm sure that
Colorado Rockies in the middle.
I assume someone's made it 0-6 because it would have been at 0-6. They would have said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. There's again like baseball is such a long sport. Like I did the math. I think I mentioned this last week. Where if you think of NFL wise, how many times do you overreact to a week 1 game, and how many times do teams recover? 162 divided by 17 is a little over 23 with some decimals. So in hindsight, think of 23 major league games as each week of the football season. I know it's way different, but that's a way to put it in your mind how long the MLB season is. But let's talk about the Mets, who look, this team's 8-4. They just lost today. I believe they were on a bit of a little streak before today's game, and the Mets have the best team ERA in the major leagues right now by a decent amount, actually.
They went into this game on a 7
Okay.
6-game winning streak.
Okay, yeah.
6-game winning streak. Their pitching has been phenomenal.
Which is shocking.
Yes.
I mean, their bullpen's been amazing, too.
And their bats have been quiet.
Yeah, their bats haven't done much. I mean, Alonso's been hitting really well, but Soto has been hitting great for his standards. Lindor, I don't think, has been anything special.
Yeah, Lindor's
Viento's been
a little
awful.
bit.
I know Viento's had a really slow start to the year. The Mets bottom of the order, I saw.
Yeah, Viento's batting 119.
Yeah, the Mets bottom of the order has been putrid, but they're winning games. They're winning a lot of close games. A lot of clutch hits they've had. Their bullpen's been really good. I know Diaz got hit around today, but he's the front and center of that bullpen. They're starting pitching look, this is what David Stern does. They have Griffin Canning, I believe, stepping up for them. Sanga pitched really well. You got Clay Holmes to step in there. David Peterson, and these aren't big name guys, and they still have Sean Manaea, who was their ace last year on the IL.
I think as this pitching rotation is currently constructed, and I believe I said this last week, that David Peterson is their best pitcher. There was an injury scare with Peterson over the weekend, actually. I believe it was in the 5th inning. They came out to check on him. The broadcast was speculating it could have been a shoulder or elbow, or a back, I believe, because they're saying if it was shoulder or elbow, they would have pulled him out of the game right away because you don't play around with those. And he actually ended up being fine after the game. He said that he got sick, felt either dizzy or lightheaded, or he said his vision was blurry. So nothing actually to be worried about there. And yeah.
But I mean, look, all offseason long, I know the frustrated Mets fans were a little annoyed they didn't go all in for pitching, and not all in, but signed somebody to a longer term deal, and I was kind of on them for that. And people, say that Stearns acts like a small market GM because, of course, he came from the Brewers. But, I mean, like, this guy I don't know how he pulls this off where they have really good pitching with not great pieces, like not star front and center names. Of course, 12 games in, like, we have to emphasize every week until I would say Memorial Day weekend is like a good checkpoint. But, I mean, they look great pitching-wise, and the bats are going to heat up. They just are. With that lineup, Alonso's look great. Soto and Lindor are all top 10 players in the league.
Soto's batting like 280, but he still only has that one home run.
For his standards, like 280 is like he's still. I'm not saying he's not playing bad at all. For his standards.
I saw.
I don't think he's the RBIs up there.
Yeah, no, I think he has 4. He has 4.
Yeah, that's very low for Juan Soto.
I watched just a random Juan Soto at bat from this weekend. And it looked like he cranked one out to right field, but he doesn't have that short porch anymore. Probably missing that a little bit.
Yeah, but so something that contract wise that affects both New York teams, but I would say mainly the Mets. Vlad Guerrero Jr. reached an extension with the Toronto Blue Jays, who is heavily linked to the New York Mets as well as the New York Yankees. So now the question is Pete Alonso going to be a Met long term?
I think that David Stearns should go to Pete Alonso and
get something done.
Get something done right now.
I mean, there's not much out there. Like Alonso's playing great, and if he has a great year, you're really going to be regretting not signing him to a short year deal last year. Of course, Steve Cohen can sign any player he wants, but
he is a Met. Like he's always going to be remembered as a Met. He really should not play for any other franchise.
He embraces the Mets.
Yes, he's almost like their new age David Wright a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Alonso. Until Soto got here, I think Soto will eventually come, the face of that. Like the most popular player in the team, but I think he was more popular than Lindor for sure.
I think he was too.
Even when Jacob deGrom was there. I think people really embraced Pete.
Especially, he came up in I know
he's a fan favorite.
Yeah, he came up in that system. Was drafted by the Mets.
They should for sure look to lock. I think they should lock him up too because with no Vlad Guerrero Jr., that was kind of the main reason why I think a lot of Mets fans were like, let's not give anything long to Pete. I don't want to say no one, but not a lot of people expected Vlad to stay in Toronto.
on opening day at Citi Field, when they introduced the Toronto Blue Jays,
they were cheering for Vlad.
Yeah, they were cheering for Vlad Guerrero. Some people said that he might have gotten a bigger hand than Pete Alonso.
That's crazy. But hey, maybe the Blue Jays front office saw that, let's sign this guy now. Honestly, just from the out, like with no fan bias care about this. Good for the Blue Jays. Honestly, they've struck out on so many free agents. It sucks for us that Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to be in the American League East for 15 years now, if you include this year.
Yeah,
so really his entire career.
Seemed like this offseason in particular, he really took his training seriously, lost some weight, got in better shape. Last year he had an amazing season, but
his power isn't. He's more of an average. Like the average is insane now. It's like 330.
Yeah.
And the home runs aren't like what we expect, honestly, when you think of a big guy like Vlad Guerrero Jr. And if you look back at his dad.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a great player. Awesome player for sure. Let's see. Anything else you want to talk about the Mets before we get into our next voicemail?
No, I think we covered everything.
Well, we had mentioned we posted our Instagram story today, but pretty much once the summer and we're out of the studio, we're gonna do weekly recaps of both the Mets and Yankees, and we're looking for someone to join us for the Mets, preferably a Mets fan. So hit us up if you're interested.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys, this is Chris from Rochester here. With the NFL draft coming up, I was wondering if you guys see any teams making any big trades and jumping up to take a certain player earlier than they should be. And also, I think as a Steelers fan here, I think the team may actually wait for a quarterback until next year. Everyone says the class is going to be better next year. Plus, if you look at the teams going into 2026 who may need a quarterback in the first round, I think there's only going to be about 4 teams willing to take a quarterback in the first round of 2026. So if the Steelers draft later, they can still get a good player. I know it's early to talk about the 2026 draft, but I want you guys to project who will need a first-round quarterback for the 2026 team. I only see 4 or 5 teams willing to take a quarterback next year. Thanks.
Okay, so for sure the Titans are going to take Cam Ward. The Giants, you can say, I think they will take a quarterback. It's anyone's honestly best guess what round they do it or who they take. Saints, Raiders.
I think if someone were to trade up, it would be the Raiders.
Why? I think Shedeur could just fall to them. They're at 6.
If they're worried about the Giants drafting Shedeur, that would be my thing.
I guess. I think the Steelers really might end up taking a quarterback because my thing, Uncle Chris, when you're listening to this, so this draft class, there's a very good chance the Steelers are going to have a chance to take the 3rd best quarterback in this draft class. And most of the time, you're not going to be able to get that at pick 21. And it's very, very unlikely the Steelers are going to have a top 10 pick. They're always good. So if Dart falls to you, or there is a chance Shedeur Sanders could fall that far.
He could.
I'm not going to say it's impossible.
I don't see any other quarterback getting taken in the top 15 besides Shedeur and Ward.
I wouldn't say. I think Jackson Dart could get picked.
He could, but I feel like that's one of the. We've said this many times. That's one of those things where you say that's going to happen because, they need something to talk about on NFL Network, and
all right.
especially NFL Network because all they cover is NFL. And around this time, they need something to talk about, so they start talking about the Jackson Darts, the Jalen Milrose. Like,
how many quarterbacks go round 1 right now?
2.
What do you think?
There should be only 2.
Okay, wow.
Unless.
So I'm forgetting this.
Okay. Actually,
So
I'm
hold
gonna say 3 actually.
All right.
And the last one's gonna be Dart. It's gonna be Dart in the 20s. And the only reason they invited Jalen Milrose to the draft, and the only reason they invited him is for like an Aaron Rodgers, Brady Quinn, Will Levis type shot where he's not getting picked the whole night, and you can keep pandering the camera to him, be like, oh look at Jalen Milrose.
All right. You want to hear my answer? 5.
That's crazy.
So Cam Ward, right? Shedeur Sanders, Jackson Dart, Tyler Show, the Louisville guy. I've seen people really. I'm not even joking.
But that's one of the. You're falling into their trap.
And then Jalen Milroe.
You're
falling
into their trap.
All right. You want me to name you the teams? Ready? Mm-hmm. Titans.
Okay.
Raiders.
Okay.
Saints. Steelers, and then the Giants are going to trade up from pick 34 for Jalen Milroe at like pick 28 or 27.
Why is Will Howard not more likely than the Louisville guy?
I mean, you're right. It could happen. I was listening to ESPN, and honestly, I really don't know much about this Louisville guy, but they're like, I am betting money at this. I saw. I think it was Louis Riddick say he's like, I really think Tyler Show. I don't even know if I'm saying his last name right, but is going to go round 1.
They do that every.
Oh, you're right,
yes.
but it's a quarterback heavy league. How many quarterbacks won last year?
5. But that was the first time in a while, wasn't it? I don't think that had to been the first time since the Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield draft.
No, even the year before. So Young, Richardson, Stroud. There had to be someone else later. That in 2023. These guys just go up, and the teams need quarterbacks. And look, I really think the Steelers are going to end up taking one. And I think Dart's going to be the 3rd quarterback taking. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, someone's going to take this Louisville kid. And there's someone like the Falcons could do with Penix. Henry.
That was crazy what the Falcons do with
Henry.
I'm trying to find this.
What are the odds the Jets take a quarterback?
I think low.
Jackson Dart.
Unless they're very high.
What if Shedeur falls?
No, I don't want Jackson Dart. Just Jackson Dart. He's got too much. He's like a hybrid of Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, and Mark Sanchez. He went to USC. He's from Utah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He's just a pretty white boy that just slings it around and throws a lot of picks.
That's another team that could take a quarterback. And now, seeing what the Falcons did, you can't say there's only you could argue there's 10 teams that can take a quarterback. You just can't.
Does this sound right? This is from the most recent year they have is 23. 21 says 5 were taken. 18 there were 5. 2020 there were 4.
Okay.
I'm all out. I'm all out of sorts here. But 2019 there were 3. 2023 there were 3.
Okay. I know 2022 that was the pick year. That was the only one.
Yeah, 2022 there was 1.
So that's probably why Steelers fans are against taking a quarterback. So first off, the Steelers have no quarterback right now.
I think 2018 was the first year that there was ever 5 drafted in the first round.
It happens now.
Yes, it does, but rare. And
look, I'm going 5. I really think it could be 5.
The Steelers, I don't know. The Steelers don't have a quarterback, but I was surprised there were 5 last year.
It happens. No one thought the Falcons were going to take a quarterback after signing Kirk Cousins. Not one person thought it was a
But
possibility.
looking back on it last year, you kind of see it happening just because Penix and Bo Nix were both Heisman frontrunners. Daniels won the Heisman.
Want to hear another team that could take
Caleb
one?
Williams has been crowned the
What if
next.
Seattle does it? I know they just signed Sam Darnold. These quarterback contracts aren't anything like teams show you. Like Kirk Cousins, who actually is there for now, he's the backup there.
Yeah.
But they could just cut him or trade him. Also, the Browns aren't going to take a quarterback at 2, but that team also has no quarterback.
Yeah, they
They
don't.
literally
They don't.
Kenny Pickett their starter right now? Yeah, I think he
Seems
is.
like it.
Which is
Hey, Super Bowl champion.
so they could take one again. They could do the trade up thing because the leverage at 28 is so much from like where the Giants are at pick 34 because there's the teams that want quarterbacks that aren't going to take them top 3, which I don't expect the Giants to at this point. It's just they're desperate and they see a guy that falls and they'll trade up.
Yeah, and
That's just how it works.
And trading from because the Giants can take the chance and someone like Dart or probably not Dart.
I
but-
think there's a much higher chance of them getting Milroe or Dart than Shadur Sanders at this point.
Okay, I agree with that. And if they draft them at 34, they don't have that 5th year of control.
Exactly.
So
And
it was kind of like what the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson. What 7 years ago now at this point?
Yeah.
Where they traded back up to pick 31 or 32,
Uh-huh.
and just so that they could get that 5th year of control.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, the drafts can be fun. Like, the crazy part is there is you want to hear something crazy? Like, there
Yeah.
is a chance that there's only 2 quarterbacks taken.
There is, yeah.
And there is a chance that Shadur Sanders could fall to the Steelers at 21.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Originally, when the Giants were going to have the number 1 overall pick, he was supposed to be their number 1 overall pick. This guy went from pick 1 at one point, and now I think it's 50-50. He's top 10. If
Yeah.
he doesn't go to the Raiders, I don't know if I don't believe the Saints would take him. I don't know why.
I don't think they would too. They still have Carr there.
Right? Like,
They're in
weird
such a
situation.
weird.
That
and
team's a mess.
They've
first off.
always been in like cap hell there with just the way they restructure contracts every single year. They just push all their money away.
Look, the Giants also had, like, I don't think it's impossible the Giants don't, like, I think they could still take Shadur. But, like, when you really think about it, it just doesn't make sense because I know they had a bunch of people at the pro day, and it really seems like Hunter's going to go to the Browns now, as Schefter's saying that's the likely scenario. But, like, when Shadur Sanders plays, there's a chance that Dable's not even there. So why would you draft somebody that you don't
Exactly.
even get to coach?
And put him in that crowded room. I saw something online saying that the point in time when they signed Jameis, they thought, and this is all speculation, that the Giants thought they were going to still be trading up to pick 1. And then,
Oh, yeah, that would have happened if that was possible.
yes, and then Cam Moore's pro day happened. The Titans were like salivating over him. And then the Giants realized, oh, we're not getting pick 1. Then they signed Russell Wilson. And then they realized that was just out of the picture.
Yeah, I mean, like you use your brain. Just like they're not taking Sanders, right? Like if you use your brain,
They shouldn't. And
why would
it
you?
makes no sense.
Yeah, why would you use the number 3 over pick? It's probably Abdul Carter now, because I think
That'd be
Travis
sick.
Hunter's going to Brown.
That'd be sick to pair him with Brian Burns.
What do you do with Kayvon? Do you just trade him now? I mean, first,
yeah.
I'm not a big Kayvon guy. I don't think Kayvon Thibodeau is that great at all.
I think he's just.
I don't think he's worth extending. So honestly, if you'll get more value of trading him now than you do if you just wait a year and he has 1 year left.
Or if you do have some sort of faith in him, maybe draft Mason Graham. He's a great interior defensive lineman.
But I mean, if you pair him with Dexter Lawrence,
that
but,
would be
like, do you really need
disgusting.
like 2 of those guys?
You
Like,
don't, but
trading down, I'm not against it, but I don't think they're gonna do that. Trade like if you just trade on a pick 9, draft Will Johnson, you can maybe get him there. Pick Saints, maybe want Shadur, you get traded with them. I don't know. I don't know.
this is one of this draft class has some of the biggest question marks I think we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean,
Where-
see, you know what? There's an obvious top 3.
There's an obvious top.
They shouldn't trade down. You're right. They should just take Carter.
There's an obvious top 3 players, but outside of Cam Ward and maybe Travis Hunter number 2, we have no clue what's going to happen this whole entire draft. And
I feel like Carter's got to be 3, right? Like the Giants would be
It makes
dumb
sense.
for
It makes
passing
sense
up.
that he should be 3, but
Could be Sanders. It could be. Like you can't rule it out.
I feel like last year's draft actually also had this sort of like uncertainty about it, where you just didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. I remember the big one was McCarthy to the Giants, which I wonder if that's what the Sanders smoke is. They did it last year at JJ. If you like Shedeur Sanders, they're not going to take him. If they truly do love Shedeur Sanders and they actually believe he is a possible face of the franchise, he will get selected. That's at the end of the day, signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston does not stop you from drafting a quarterback you love. It might stop you from drafting a quarterback you like. There's a big difference. Mm-hmm. You don't marry a girl that you like. You marry one that you love.
Exactly.
Okay. I think I'll end it off there. Let's get into more voicemails.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys, it's Anthony from New York. Great show. Love all the things you do. Got a quick question for you. Just witnessed history. Alex Ovechkin, the all-time leading goal scorer in the NHL. Just my question is, do you think there's anybody in today's game that could maybe reach what he has done and surpass what he has accomplished today? Love to hear what you think. Thanks.
Hockey question.
Yeah, we have never discussed hockey on this podcast. I don't.
All right, but it's an all-time record.
Yes.
So congrats to him first off.
Honestly, yeah.
That's a record breaker that you don't see it a lot. You rarely see that type of stuff get broken.
And it's one of those things like the NBA scoring record where we thought this would never happen.
Exactly. Congrats to him. This is a record where I just don't see getting broken for like another 20, 30 years just because these things don't happen. Like, there's very rare that, someone will break the all-time scoring record in their respective sport and get passed up, like, right away. I think it'll be up there with, like, LeBron's record and Barry Bonds' home run record. We're just going to have to wait and see if anyone will ever pass them.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a stat that Alex Ovechkin and Wayne Gretzky had played the same amount of career games when Ovechkin passed him.
That's crazy.
Which I thought that's insane. It's kind of like how last week Aaron Judge and Babe Ruth had the same amount of home runs through the first 1,000 games. Like, it's just so eerily similar how like that could happen. I don't know.
Yeah, but congrats to him. I know we're not big hockey guys, but that's a
Yeah.
really cool record to see. So, the NBA playoffs is coming up. The regular season closes this week. So let's talk some NBA. So let's start off locally with the New York Knicks, who are slated at the number 3 seed. They're not going up or down. They are, I saw actually just before this, they have according to Basketball Reference, they have a 95% chance to play the Detroit Pistons in round 1. So that's really pretty much the only playoff series that's almost set. And look, this Knicks team, I just don't see making much noise. They're a second-round exit. They are 0-9 against the top 3 teams in the NBA. It seems like they can't beat any good teams. I don't want to call this a disappointing year for them.
I mean, it is, right? Going all in and totally messing up.
They
kind of
expected to be how Cleveland is. I like, you would have thought they would, like, if anything, they would be like how Cleveland is this year, like a 60-win team.
Surprise, not surprise,
but better than Boston.
better
Maybe
than
actually
Boston.
can
Like,
compete with Boston.
that would be the surprise.
No one actually thinks the Knicks can beat the Celtics. I think going into this year, you thought, okay, they can fight with them. You thought it was be Knicks, Celtics, and then Cleveland came out of not nowhere. They were always a decent team,
But Kenny Atkinson really got that team.
oh my God, he's probably the coach of the year in my opinion. And honestly, JB Bickerstaff is argument for coach of the year as well, who left Cleveland for Detroit, who is really turned around. And my thing is, I've watched this Knicks team a decent amount, and I know a lot of people don't watch the Pistons. I really don't like this matchup for the Knicks. The Pistons are kind of what the Knicks were in 2021 when they had those Julius Randle's tough, gritty teams. And I think they could really push this Knicks team because, honestly, I think this Knicks team's a little soft.
Yes, that. And it's kind of surprising that the Knicks are soft because Tibbs builds his team on defense and toughness. But Cat, obviously, way better than DiVincenzo and better than...
It's kind of a soft guy.
You would make that trade any day of the week probably, though. But yeah, he is a little soft. we're not even showing our bias here. We go to the University of Kentucky. Cat's a Wildcat. He's soft. He's not a great defender.
And
you have him out there for his offensive game. Him
in the playoffs is one of the most frustrating players I've ever seen. He will have a 30-point game and an 8-point game where it seems like he actually has no interest. I watched him a lot last year when he was on Minnesota, and there would be games where he plays himself out of the game. He would get in so much foul trouble, and he would be 2 of 12 from the field, just really struggling. And the Knicks need his 25 points a game. It can't just be a Jalen Brunson show. Mikal Bridges has just he stepped up when Brunson was out, but he just can't find a way to be comfortable with Jalen Brunson, which is a big worry for me for that team. But look, if the Knicks end up losing in the second round, I think you're going to see a lot of possible changes. And if you look, a guy that has New York background just got fired shockingly from the Denver Nuggets, who's a championship coach. And this is just all speculation, but if they lose round 2, I could see that replacement happening.
Michael Malone, yeah.
For Tom Thibodeau.
Also, the Pistons.
They're young,
they're
and gritty,
good,
man.
and they're young, they're gritty. They had that fight against Minnesota last week or whatever. They're one of those young teams where the Knicks they're not riding high into the playoffs by any means, but they can go in expecting to win it, and they could just get figuratively or literally by Isaiah Stewart punched in the face.
Yeah.
And then the Knicks would be almost like, oh shit, like what do we get ourselves into?
I don't think I would pick the Pistons to win that series. I'm gonna break down a lot of these series next week, but I can see that going 7 games, and a lot of the mainstream media, I know Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins said it because Udonis Haslam went up there and said the Pistons beat the Knicks. They said it's not going anywhere than 5. I don't think it's a walk in the park, and I actually think they would have much rather played the Bucks, who to me are just a sinking ship, who I don't expect to make it out of the first round. And I think they matched up better against the Bucks than the Pistons. But I want to move on to the Western Conference, which is just absurd. So the 3 through 8 seed is separated by a game. And I just want to go on a little rant of this is why how stupid the play-in is. The Dallas Mavericks and Sacramento Kings are under 500. They are, and there is going to be 2 teams that likely have 47 or 48 wins that are going to have to be in the play-in. And one of those teams is going to be in a 1-game elimination with a 38-39 win team, which just makes no sense. You work 82 games, and just because the NBA wants more playoff-type games, more money. Yep, it's more money, and this is ridiculous. I understand the play-in, but when the play-in was originally constructed in 2020, the East play-in wasn't played. I don't know if you people remember this, but back then the rule was if you weren't within 4 games of the 8 seed, it was only 8-9 then. There's no play-in. That's what it should be now. There should be a certain games you have to be within because like I said, there is no reason a 47-48 win team should have to compete against a 38 win team in a 1 game which is not natural for the NBA, and anything can happen in 1 game. I just think it's ridiculous.
That was in the bubble, if I'm correct, right?
It was in the bubble.
And
the Grizzlies in Portland played, but they never didn't play.
Okay, they never announced it. Like, that wasn't a thing before the COVID.
No, they only added that just for COVID, but I thought they had the right rules where that you have to be in between a certain amount of games.
Yeah, there's 30. I know they don't necessarily count the play-in as playoff games, like the stats and everything in that game.
Yeah, they're playoff games.
They should. They should because postseason games. They should. The stats and everything should go towards your postseason career totals and everything. But there's 30 teams in the NBA, right? 30, not 32.
30. Yeah, 30.
Yep. I thought I was mixing it up.
And 2/3 of them make the playoffs.
2/3 of them make the playoffs. That's insane.
No other sport does that.
Yeah.
You have 14 in the NFL with 32 teams, and baseball 12.
And we've seen those leagues even expand, but 20 teams making your postseason? That's ridiculous.
Rewarding under 500 teams in any sport, to me, consistently, is just a joke.
Because then you reward a middle-tier product, you reward
bad play.
mediocrity, you reward teams like the Miami Heat a couple years ago. I mean, no one figured that they were going to go on a run like that, but where you can mail it in all season, you can lose a play-in game, and then still go on to make the finals.
Yeah, seeding in the NBA doesn't matter much.
It's just out of sorts.
I think it's really all matchup dependent, which I thought I liked the 8-team playoff format with no play-in. I think that was perfect. I think you want your best outcome, and again, I get I guess the NBA wants a lot of these teams that'd be locked into the playoffs already playing hard till the end of the regular season. I get that, but you're just end up rewarding bad teams like the Mavericks and Kings who shouldn't have a chance at the playoffs.
Also, one thing I used to love about the NBA, I thought their playoff seeding was the most simple because they didn't do it by division or anything. It was just conference 1 through 8, and I like that better than baseball and football because sometimes the seeding can get a little confusing because a 9-win team could be the number 4 seed and 12-win team could be a wild card, something like that. And basketball, I was like, dude, they got it right. Like they have just each conference 1 through 8, and then the play-in came around. And sometimes it's confusing. Like one team has to win 2 games, one team has to win.
It's tough for the casual person to keep up with it. Mm-hmm. No, you're totally right. So pretty much the 7 and 8 play, and the winner's the 7 seed, and the loser plays the winner of the 9-10. So in hindsight, I think it's only happened once where the 7-8, one of them didn't make it, and the 9 or 10 made it. So it's rare it happens, but it sucks because like. It's pretty much a 47-48 win team is only going to have a 2-day rest in between the playoffs and playing. But actually, I remember the Lakers when this first got started in 2020. They were the 1 seed, and they said it honestly is kind of a disadvantage for us because we have 2 days to game plan instead of a week. Because typically, if it's 2-7 or 3-6, 4-5 matchup, you have a week to game plan who you're playing against. In the playoffs, it's so much more mental than the regular season.
That is true.
You only have 2 days to game plan, which that's a little inconvenience. I know we're kind of nitpicking it.
Because whatever team was coming out, they knew what team they were going to play.
Yeah, I don't like the plan. I'm not a fan of it. I would prefer if it just wasn't part of it, to be honest with you. Just whoever the first 8 gets in is. But they're going to keep it because you've gotten some good matchups in. The 7-8 games have produced some really good basketball. I really just don't like how the 10 seed's part of the playoffs. I get 8-9 maybe.
And I could also see where the casual fan is like, I don't want to watch 2 middle tier teams play for a spot in the playoffs.
In the East, it's the Bulls and Hawks.
And it's different if it's football or something. I just don't.
No, you're right. You're right.
Because in basketball, people want to see the stars, like the superstars.
There's no stars playing in the play-in.
Yes, exactly.
It's especially like the 9-10 games. Actually, LeBron James has played the play-in
he has.
three times, but it's kind of funny.
Kings versus Mavericks.
Yeah,
you're gonna have DeMar DeRozan,
Anthony Davis.
Will Anthony Davis?
He's
playing
back.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, the East playing's a joke. That's the one that you look
at. Hornets and Wizards. Oh wait, no,
they're not in there. They're not.
That was
it's Bulls, Hawks, the Heat, who are a sinking ship. Those teams are in it every year.
Bulls, Hawks, Heat. Yes, they're always in it. Every single year.
My last thing about the playoffs is to me, the Cavs and Celtics are going to have such an advantage over any Western Conference team because they pretty much just have a bye to the second round because between whoever ends up making them, whether it's the Hawks, Magic, Bulls, Heat, they, at most, 1 game, they'll take off the Cavs or Celtics. And in the West, like a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are on a 66-67 win pace, is going to play a 48-win team likely, so they can't really take their foot off the gas. So, I mean, the East is just going to have just a little preview of what's going to happen. I think the East is going to have just such a rest advantage compared to the West teams. The West is just a bloodbath. It's insane. There's so many good teams there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it'd be cool if the Cavs could make it out of the East.
I really think they could. I mean, I'm really excited. I love the NBA playoffs. I'm going to break it all down. I'm going to cover the Knicks a lot. It's going to be a fun time to talk about, but the play-in just annoys me, and, I don't like it. That's all. But
I don't either.
Do we have any more calls?
We do have a couple more calls.
We'll finish the calls off before we get out of here.
We got 2 more.
Hey, it's Pete from the Bronx. Love this show. Hey, if Ward goes first and Travis Hunter goes second, who do the Giants pick at 3? What do you think?
We kind of already talked about this, but thanks for the call again. But Abdul Carter, I think, is most likely the draft pick. There's kind of an obvious, besides the quarterback, Carter and Hunter are the most talented guys, so it's going to be Abdul Carter. If I had to guess, I would say 75%.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's get into our last one.
Last voice before we get out of here.
Hey, Max from Mississippi calling in to talk about the Yankees. So Aaron Judge is off to a hot start. My question is it possible do you think it's possible for Aaron Judge to break the home run record? And do you think it's possible to have a home run race between Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani that rivals like a Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa type home run race? Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thanks for the call. You know, those are all great questions. The one caveat I will put on this that would be different between a Judge Ohtani home run race is I don't think Ohtani will ever reach that point of getting in the NL. He would need to get to 74 home runs
to break
it.
Yeah.
And I don't see that ever happening. And Judge will only need to get to 63 to break the AL one. So it's a little bit of a different type of home run race. But I do think Aaron Judge could break it. He went cold in this Detroit series. A lot of that has to do with the cold. Honestly,
He has 7 or 6 home runs.
I think he has 6.
Okay. But my little quick takeaway, if he avoids a bad slump for about 3 weeks, I would say,
6
if he
home
could just
runs.
manage the slumps which is so hard to say
Yes.
throughout a baseball season, but he can I think he can get close to 70. If he doesn't go through a slump, then he can definitely get 70.
Last year he got his first 5 home runs in the first 30 games or something?
Yeah.
First 20 games or something they said. So it's definitely possible because then he went on just a torrid pace.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's definitely possible that he could reach that mark. So,
all right, thank you guys. Keep supporting the channel. We have a lot of exciting stuff coming out. Keep on the look for next week's special interview.
yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the support, guys.